Öncesinde bir şey yapayım da hocam. Okay. All right, welcome, Ali Hocam. It is great to have you here. Thank you for making time for us in this morning. Ali Hoca is now at the University of Cincinnati in the United States. So without taking further time, Hocam, the stage is yours, please.
Thank you. Well, thanks for inviting me. But I should make a couple caveats. I'm not a morning person, so if I don't make any sense, please bear with me, ask questions. Luckily, you can't see my pajamas. I got this, but below that are my pajamas, so hopefully I won't get up. I tend to get up. I have this nasty habit of walking around in Zoom presentations, but I'll try to stay. So I will talk about two computational social science projects, which are pretty new and exciting to me. There aren't a lot of data or visuals to show because one of them has a lot of agreements we made. We can't really share anything till like into the third year. And second, we just started, so there isn't a lot to share, but I'm going to try to walk you through. I kept it pretty basic, so hopefully if I can run this through, we'll have time for questions, hopefully. But I didn't time this. I just finished the presentation like 10 minutes ago, woke up at 5 a.m. So I might run late, just stop me. Okay, so let's get there. I'm involved in two projects recently. One of them is, both of them are interdisciplinary group projects. One of them is called Colonialist Foundations and Reflective, well, you can read that, it's a mouthful. I don't like the title at all, but we got the money, so I don't care about the title now. The other one is Doğu Yeşilçam. It has a fancier title, Data-Driven Digital and Open Approach to the History of Turkish Cinema. The first one is with a international team. The second one is with a team from Turkish universities. So this one, the rest of the team is at the University of McMaster in Canada. And it's funded by SSHRC, which is Social Science and Humanities Research Council of Canada. So it's going to take 5 years, approximately 5, 6, I guess. We just started. So the project involves a theoretically driven interrogation of big data, but our focus is on the erasure and misrecognition of two instances of subalternity. One is Orientalism and the other one is indigenous peoples of North America. And we have one indigenous scholar in the team, so she knows this, most of the team actually knows this literature much better than I do. I am the computational guy in the team. I mostly deal with data extraction and analyses, but the theory part doesn't come from me. So if you have any theory questions, I might have to dodge them if I don't know the answer, but my colleagues are pretty open. You can reach them if you want to. So what do we really do in this project? Well, we made a deal with JSTOR, and JSTOR opened up its entire archive. Well, one O is missing there, so I woke up in the morning, so the slides are not awesome. We have reached to the whole JSTOR archive from 1890 to 2019 in these disciplines: American Indian Studies, Anthropology, Criminology and Criminal Justice, Peace and Conflict Studies, Political Science, Public Policy and Administration, and Sociology. We're going to go into some other disciplines, but not yet. First, we need to really nail this down in terms of how we extract and clean the data and work with it, right? So we have around, I believe, 1,075,000-ish articles from the JSTOR archive. And it's kind of a data nightmare because especially the early ones, the OCR quality and the articles were not like the articles we are used to right now. So there's a lot of inconsistencies. That's one of the biggest problems. When you do any type of computational social science project, most of the time you spend in cleaning and legwork. So, which I like, it's kind of therapeutic, but not very many people like doing that kind of stuff. Lots of coding, iteration, write the code, clean it up, validate, it doesn't work, go back. So that's kind of stuff. So the aims are threefold. They are to assess the degree to which social sciences were founded on colonialist assumptions. Well, we pretty much know this story actually, but nobody has attempted to do it with this much of data going that back, because simply, with computational social sciences most of the time is a misnomer, it's ambivalent, because everybody understands something different from it. You can use computation in data extraction, you can use computational methods in analyses, but most of these methods are actually not very new. What is new is A, data became abundant, and B, computation power became cheaper and abundant. So that's why this big, hype about computational science. But if you think about it, most of these methods are not new at all. I mean, text analysis was always there. People used to content code manually, but now they couldn't read, obviously, 1,075,000 something articles, but now we can, thanks to computers. So that's one of the computational parts of this project. So the second aim is to, we're gonna try to see how these foundations serve to erase and misrepresent those in subaltern positions. The first part of the project explicitly focuses on indigenous people of the North America. As I said, we have an indigenous scholar with us. She knows this stuff much better than most of us do. She has a lot of publications about it. So she's guiding us through this in the theory part. And we are also interested in if the decolonial turn and the Orientalist turn in the social sciences really penetrated. So are there any changes? Did social sciences really become more reflexive in terms of these erasure of indigenous people? Is Orientalism still prevailing, at least on paper? You can't really get into people's minds, right? But we can look at how they write about certain stuff and see if these colonialist assumptions are still there lurking, under the actual script. So to do so, we're going to create 3 ontologies. And that's where things get really hairy, because you want the computer to read these 1 million something articles and to understand whether they're colonialist or reflexive, yada, yada. So we are going to try lots of different approaches using, neural networks and stuff. But first, we're going to start really easy. We're going to create dictionaries. If you ever done text analyses, you can create dictionaries about something. Let's say you want to look at the customer reviews of a hotel, and you want to see if they like your hotel or not. So you can create a dictionary about positive things about your hotel, right? The beds were clean. The reception was friendly. They were smiling, yada, yada, yada. So you can basically tell the computer that when you see the beds were clean, that's a positive thing for our hotel. So we're going to do the same thing essentially with these ontologies. We're going to create 3 ontologies. Colonialist, this is the negative one. So every article will be, the computer will read them. We do lots of validation, obviously, because AI is not really intelligent in any sense. If you ever done AI, you need to really train the AI to become semi-intelligent in a human sense. I'm pretty critical about AI technologies, but I use them as a social scientist. And we're going to use these theoretical foundation to train the AI to sense whether the article is colonialist. Indigenous is the opposite. Is it reflexive? Is it acknowledging indigenous people? Is it really, reflexive and acknowledges these things? And post-colonial is basically, is it less Orientalist kind of stuff? So again, these ideal types, we are still having discussion of what they entail and how we can create these dictionaries. And we're cleaning the data right now. So we have ample time to construct these. So at one hand, we're cleaning the data, attaching metadata. And then on the other hand, we are working on to refine these dictionaries on our assumptions. So we are still, we have a lot of work to do. The workflow, basic workflow is, they send us the data, but it's raw, it's unclean. So we're going to clean that, we're cleaning it, and we're going to attach metadata. Metadata is basically the year of the article, the abstract, the bibliography, the authors, the institutions, that kind of stuff. So we can also do some basic bibliometric stuff, code citation analyses. Along with these textual analyses, we can go into bibliometrics and see who cites whom and how those citation patterns change over time in the last 100-some years. We're going to clean, if you ever done text analyses, we're going to do, let me check my time here. Okay, it's not bad. So we're going to clean, tokenize, and create a document feature matrix. That's pretty typical with text analyses. We're going to do a lot of descriptive statistics and exploration. And meanwhile, all throughout these three things, we're going to create these ontologies and dictionaries, right? So it's kind of, this seems linear, but it's not. It's really iterative. And finally, if we can get there and survive, we're going to do a lot of modeling. First, we're going to start with clustering, topic models, right? To see how the topics change throughout the time. That's pretty standard. Then we're going to do sentiment analyses and more, basically automated content analyses and certain forms of it to see if, these changes really happened in social sciences. But again, we're only looking at the JSTOR archive. So we don't really have books in there. We have book reviews, but, it's mostly articles. So like every data, this is it won't give us the complete picture. Although we have the universe, it won't tell us everything. So we'll see how it goes. So the second project, it's called DRY Yeşilçam. If you like Turkish cinema, it's pretty exciting. It's an interdisciplinary team. We have cinema scholars, Serkan and Aydın. We have me, like Özge Hoca. I'm an academic nomad. I have a design degree. I do design research. I have a social sciences degree. I do computational social science. I do statistics. And Kaya is our computer scientist. He's a professor in computer science. So he helps it with, I'm not a coder. My coding knowledge only serves my own purposes. So, it's good to collaborate with people who know actually what they're doing. And this is funded by TÜBİTAK. It's also new. So we are, excuse me, coffee. Yeah. So, there was this Yeşilçam era in Turkey. There was immense production, and it has its own very peculiar conditions. And a lot has been written about it, but nobody actually, and a lot has been written about Yeşilçam style. So, but nobody really tried to analyze it using computational tools or quantitative tools. Cinemetrics became popular in the West. They look at films and quantify the style of the movie or the directors. Well, you may ask, how can you quantify style? Actually, it turns out, like, for instance, a very simple thing like the average shot length in a movie, because, every shot has a length. They shoot some scene for, like, let's say 20 seconds, 50 seconds, 2 minutes, whatever. And that really is a signature thing that changes from director to director or visual director to visual director. That's one variable. So by using these kind of variables over time, you can really analyze style pretty accurately, actually, across time in movies. But it's very tedious work because your unit of analysis is a time unit. It can be seconds or minutes. So it's really tedious work to detect these changes in scenes and camera angles. You can do it manually up to a certain degree, and it takes a lot of human power. So we're going to do this to movies between 1948 and 1989. So here we have a much smaller sample. Gosh. So the whole universe, it's assumed to be over 5,000 movies. I'm saying it's assumed because some of them are not available. Either they were destroyed, the movie companies went bankrupt, you can't find the archives, yada, yada, yada. So the accessible universe, more or less, is around 2071 movies. And we have 3 or so years to complete this project, maybe a little bit more. We made some calculations and we decided to go a little bit, go with a smaller sample and go deeper in this smaller sample. We could have done all 2000 movies, but we wouldn't have the same number of variables. So we selected, not me, but other colleagues of mine who are really expert on Turkish cinema. They selected these 550 movies, and we're going to analyze those movies. Okay. So data generation workflow, we first generate the data from the movies because, movies are, we found them through different sources, DVDs, YouTube. Some movie companies basically turn this into, upload them to YouTube, which made our job easy. But there are a lot of inconsistencies. Some of them cut the movies in certain places. They were not original. So we are dealing with a lot of data issues. Then we can clean, optimize the data, as always. Analysis and dissemination. We're going to create a website for this. We're going to, once this is over, we're going to open up the data set for researchers to use. But we are still at the very early stages. And data generation and attaching metadata has these steps. We need to, the most important thing in movie analysis in scene count detection. Does the scene change or not? So to a certain degree, we do this with Python and DaVinci Resolve, which is a software for editing movies, but it's not 100% accurate. So we have a army of research assistants who are actually watching these movies and manually coding or cleaning the data. So computational part in this project goes hand in hand with a lot of hard old style labor. We do a lot of corrections. We place the markers, because you need to place those markers so the computer can read them, validate, export it in a format that we can use it R or Python or whatever they're using, then do the analysis. But again, we are still at the data generation process. So this is how it looks like. They watch the movies, the computer with we integrated this, Kaya actually integrated with Python. I have no doing in this. So it either automatically detects these markers and you just then validate to see if the markers are placed correctly. This is another screenshot from the software. So basically we are, well, not me, luckily, we are running the code and then we are watching the movies to see if it really works. So they're watching a lot of movies, which is sometimes not very fun, I mean. And if you think about it, a movie has a lot of scenes. So although we have 550 movies, if you think that your unit of analysis is a time unit, it makes a lot of observations, maybe around 500 to 1,000, maybe more per movie. So a lot of data collection here. So this is how the data looks like. We have a lot of variables, cut type, transition effects, feeds. Are there any visual effects? Camera movements like panning, zooming in and out. Is it a wide angle? Is it a, narrower angle? And then, it's end of, I think, the presentation. Well, then we overlap this with metadata we collect from various sources. One of them is IMDb, but we also have archives. People coded these movies. What is the genre? The cast, the director, the producer. So we overlap this metadata with this time movie level data or time unit level data, so we can do statistical analyses, run regressions, fit curves, whatever. But again, we haven't gotten there yet. We are just creating the data and collecting it, and nobody has done this in Turkey yet. So we are the first team that uses cinemetrics to look at the Yeşilçam era, which is pretty, I like the Yeşilçam era, but so it's pretty exciting for me, but not obviously very exciting for other people. So yeah, I'm not running late. 7:21. So we have, I think, 19 minutes for questions and answers. Am I right?
Yeah, that's true, Hocam.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop share. Sorry for like Özge Hoca, I had to run pretty. This week was crazy. I mean, the last week was crazier. So I had to create this presentation at the very last minute. So sorry for, and I'm not very lucid in the mornings. A lot of apologies there. Sorry. Anyway.
Thank you so much, Hocam. I mean, it was great to listen those interesting projects of yours. I mean, the Yeşilçam project really grabbed my interest. I mean, it was a different it was a clear that it's a different approach to data and social sciences.
Yeah, it's more, go ahead, sorry.
No, I don't have anything.
You know, there is this turf war between computational social science and digital humanities now. It's basically they're doing the same things, but digital humanities people obviously look more at humanities data like history, you know, literature, movies. And to me, the distinction between humanities and social sciences is not clear-cut, but yeah, whatever. So this might also be labeled as a digital humanities project, for better or for worse.
Yeah, so feel free to raise your hands or type your questions in the chat. So I think I'll go first, Hocam. So in your first project, when you go back in time, of course, the language changes.
Yes.
So, I mean, the words that we now think as bad might be okay to use
exactly
back then. So, I mean, to put it in a simple way. So how are you dealing with these issues?
They are reading lots of articles and feeding that into the computer and validating it. It's a very tedious project. Like another problem I'm going to tell you, we are interested in American Indians, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you just look at the Indian word Indian, there are a lot of articles about India, you know? And when you look at indigenous peoples, I mean, they weren't using the word indigenous, they are using natives, you know, or they use the word Negro maybe, and it's fine to use it, as you said, right? But so these dictionaries actually, these dictionaries change in time. So they are longitudinal dictionaries. You can't create this dictionary and say, okay, this dictionary will work in every time point. So basically, you need to define certain periods, read a lot of articles, use a lot of computational stuff along with the articles. Like, for instance, you use something called kiwi. It's not a kiwi, it's keyword in context. It's used a lot in computational social science. So you use these keywords and see how you tell the computer, you know, give me these keywords that I use a lot in the articles and tell me what I use before and after these keywords. And then you plot them, you look at and when you plot them or when you analyze these topic models, you can see how the change happens over time. But again, AI is pretty dumb. You need to, you know, tell it if it's doing okay. Even if you're using the best neural network, when it comes to stuff like this, there's a lot of human labor. You read the article, it's, you know, this is negative or positive. So again, we have an army of poor graduate students and other scholars. Luckily, I'm not doing that for it. I'm coding and telling them, you know, this didn't really work, and that they're like, okay, let's change this part of the dictionary, go back and rerun. So it's a lot of really tedious. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah,
but, you know,
that was what I was asking for. And so, any questions from the audience? I can just go on. So, Hocam.
We're done. I can go back to sleep.
Hocam, I have another question. Okay, Emre Işer, I think, have a question. You can go first and then I'll continue.
Ali Hocam, thank you very much for introducing us to those projects. Actually, at the moment, I'm on the verge of coming up with a team of scholars. So on a project that we've been working on, you know, Eastern Mediterranean, Greece, Cyprus, Turkey, and the way that they've been approaching climate change issues. So what we will be doing is social scientific, network analysis, but we will be mainly looking on discourses. So at the verge of coming out with the casting, I was thinking of how I was intrigued bit by, curious about how you come out with this organization. At what point you've been, let's say, guiding assistants for the methodology? At what part, because it's a team at the end of the day. I'm wondering about at what stage and how you are working together in order to materialize that, because there are too much stuff in both of them. So I'm wondering, because there are people who PIs who've been organizing those issues, and as research, but you said that you've been not dealing with all this tedious work. So what you're basically doing is actually orchestrating them, and you serve as sort of a bridge between PIs and those assistants. So I'm wondering about how you come up with that organization. Thank you.
Well, that's always a challenge when you're doing, teamwork. So actually, in both projects, we are meeting with assistants, these research assistants, all the time. And for the first project, actually, I'm doing a lot of the legwork myself too, in terms of coding. But the second project, the Yeşilçam project, Serkan is the PI on that. So we really sat down. He sits down with them every week pretty much, and he is on top of the data collection because he knows the movies. So it's very important, I think, that you have some people with profound domain knowledge to know if something's going on. I don't have domain knowledge neither in post-colonial studies nor in movie studies. So if I screw up something, I won't even know, right? And that happens a lot in computational social science projects, because a couple of I'm not using this in a pejorative way, but it happens all the time. A couple of computer scientists who doesn't know anything about social sciences get interested in something, and they have zero domain knowledge, and they run this beautifully complex neural network, and then it doesn't make any sense. So there isn't an easy answer to your question. We are meeting all the time, and we are I'm here, people are in Canada, in Turkey. It's a lot of work. I'm sending the codes, validating the articles, it comes back, I don't have an easy answer. A lot of meetings, a lot of emails, and Greg is a really good team leader on he has a lot of experience running teams. So he is the
PI of.
Well, there are lots of PIs in that. We have a lot of PIs in that project. So we don't have one PI, but they are co-PIs. But he is like the PI of the PIs, although he doesn't have the official title, right? So he basically calls the shots. I'm a mere servant, I don't like running teams. I have horrible people skills, so I'm much more comfortable when I sit in front of the computer and type code. So, you're asking actually the wrong question to the wrong person, but you can talk to Greg if you like. So that's how I dodge the question.
Actually, you are the right person, because we are looking forward to find somebody like you. So the sort of, knowledge on this methodology side of this equation, but not deal with this tedious work, but mainly to guide the assistant. That's why, maybe in the coming days, if I email you, would you answer me?
Sure,
Okay.
Of course. Email, Twitter, my Özyeğin email still works. My UC email works.
I think I'm following you in Twitter. So are you answering them?
Yeah. If you Twitter, I'm. That's my psychological venting mechanism. When I talk too much on Twitter, know that I'm pretty stressed, so I'm pretty active there.
Okay, I will be waiting for the right time then.
Tamam hocam, anlaştık.
Thank you very much hocam for your inspiring projects.
Thank you for the question. Onur, I think you have another question, so please.
Yes, thank you very much, Ali hocam. So my question is about the second project you are conducting. So what kind of inferences are you planning to derive from this project? So are you actually maybe looking for change in discourse at a certain point in time, let's say after the military coup, with the movies, or is there any other inferences that you're looking for, or is that going to be something developed on the way?
There is nothing about discourse in that project because we're not going to analyze the text or audio. It's only about these scenes, right?
Oh, okay.
So the cinematics is pretty much about these styles of the directors and other stuff. So we are mainly interested in, is that really a Yeşilçam style? Because people in the literature talk about this Yeşilçam style, but they do that based on, their qualitative experiences, knowing the field, but nobody tried to quantify that. And we also have other questions. We have lots of questions, actually. One of them is like, do individual directors have their own styles? Or does it change when they work with different producers, visual directors, different casts? So how can we model these complex interactions? So in other words, let's say you cast a very famous actor or actress. Does it really change your style, right? So these are more about film studies projects rather than tying it to the social context of Turkey at the time. But there are certain things which really happened in Yeşilçam. For instance, shooting movies were really expensive because the films were really expensive and you had to import them. So these directors had to be quick with whatever they're doing. So it's kind of a mass-produced thing. My film scholar colleagues can tell more about this. So the economic context really affected how Yeşilçam produced movies, because you can't really, you're not creating these things in a vacuum, right? So you can't observe that directly, but you can make inferences based on how your area knowledge, right? But again, I'm in no place to make such calls because I am pretty ignorant about Yeşilçam's history. But I've been reading a lot because these colleagues of mine are telling, oh, look, we found this in data. It overlaps with this guy said in his article. We have actually, proved his point with data or disproved somebody else's point with data. So this is kind of really exciting stuff for film scholars. But I'm like, okay, I will try to read more about Yeşilçam. So when you are the data guy, you're always scratching your head in the team and you're learning a lot, which is really fun. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, Hocam, thank you.
Thank you. So Ayşegül Akkoyun, I think you have a question. Please go ahead.
Yes, I have a question. Professor, thank you so much for your insightful presentation. And also, we couldn't see your pajamas because you couldn't wake up and, turn around. So it's a bit unfortunate for us, let's say. But apart from the joking side, I have a question concerning the tokenization. But before that, you say that while you are explaining the dictionaries part, you say that the creating corpus and after that the cleaning data. But in the cleaning data process and the tokenization, I should also mention my background. I'm also from the law field and a bit aligned in both the social science and the digital humanities, but try to survive in this field. I'm also work on the bilateral investment treaties of Turkey. Over time, I'm trying to compare the more than 3,000 bilateral investment treaties and computing the treaties, the framework of the treaties, and tokenization of some clauses, the words. But I realized that first you decide while you are structuring your work, you first decide the category and the variables, the category type, and also you use the variable acronyms, but I didn't. My first question is, should I should I use the acronyms, I mean the abbreviations of the clauses? For example, the fair and equitable treatment, it's the clause.
Mhm.
And I try to, get the repetition of the clause during, within the treaties. But should I use the abbreviations or acronyms of those clauses? My first question is that. And the second question is that why you are explaining the data cleaning process, tokenization. You say that the importance, you mentioned about the importance of the OCR's qualities, because many time I run the same process to get the clean document, to run the Control F process truly, but I didn't, because OCR quality and some of my documents are as in the JPEG format, not in the text format. How we can get the most quality of OCR after all? That's my second question.
I don't have straight answers for you. When it comes to tokenization, and it depends on you can use whole sentences, you can use words, you can use acronyms. It all depends on my approach is pretty much, I start with everything, then go down from them. So I use words and clauses and then see how they work, and then go back with the best working one. It's easier to do that in English, because natural language processing tools for English are much more developed compared to Turkish. There's an excellent book about NLP in Turkish. It's open access. I can't remember the work, but the libraries that work with Turkish, these treaties are in English or in Turkish?
English, of course.
Oh, okay. That's even better.
There are more languages, but I couldn't, analyze all them. First, I start with the English, then.
Tokenization is a very iterative process. It depends on how, your research questions. So you need to try. I don't have a straight answer. You can, some people use word stems as opposed to whole words. Some people even do not drop the stop words. For those of you who doesn't do text analysis, stop words are words that we use, like to, the, a, anything that you can take out of the sentence and the meaning will still be there, right? But sometimes taking out those words, you drop the stop words when you do tokenization, typically. And there are libraries for removing stop words in text analyses. But sometimes when you remove the stop words, the computer being as dumb as it is, you can't get the exact results you want. So you need to try, and it's a lot of iteration. Your second question about OCR, that doesn't also have an easy answer. In our case, our research assistant do that. So, and luckily, social science articles that with bad OCRs are older, and there are fewer older articles. So but we can see when we tokenize and when you do word clouds or basic, we can see gobbledygook we can understand that there was something wrong with OCR. So we can pinpoint those articles, go back, sometimes manually clean the article, but there isn't any easy way. You can use Python, or you can use somebody which knows visual processing, and we have an assistant like that. But again, I don't have an easy answer for both of these questions. A lot of trial and error. Sorry, I need, without seeing the data, it's really hard to answer those type of questions. Each data set is a different world in itself. So, sorry, it's kind of.
It means a lot for me. Thanks, many thanks.
Yeah, and you couldn't see my pajamas, and I don't have the best pajamas. I have one with a red one with deers on it, which I went to school a couple of times, but I couldn't find it today. So anyways.
Thank you. So I think we can end this session if there are no more questions. All right. Thank you, Ali Hocam. for this presentation. I am now stopping the recording.
Well, thanks
All
for
right.
inviting me.
Thank you, Hocam, for waking us in the morning for us.
I can go back to sleep now. Yay.
Yeah.
Well, I drank like half a liter of coffee, so we'll see how it goes.
I wish you a fun Saturday.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
All right. I have a little reminder for tomorrow's session, tomorrow's workshop. There are technical requirements to be met, so I suggest checking your emails for that. We will send it again. I hope we see each other tomorrow. Take care.